Here's a certain kind of person who moves through the world with a quiet sense of detachment, as if life were happening slightly to the side of them rather than directly through them. They are not unhappy. They are not lonely. They are not broken. But from a very young age, they have carried the subtle awareness of being the odd one out. Not excluded, but not fully integrated either. For most people, childhood is where belonging happens automatically. Kids find their group, adopt its language, its habits, its rhythm, and grow into it like a pair of shoes. But for this person, the shoes never quite fit. On the playground, they stood a little apart. In class, they listened while others performed. At family gatherings, they watched the dynamic rather than becoming part of it. They were physically present, socially accepted, but internally separate, like a camera recording the scene rather than a character acting in it. Teenage years only intensified the feeling, while everyone else scrambled to belong. To dress the same, talk the same, like the same music, hold the same opinions. The odd one out observed from the margins. They weren't incapable of fitting in. They simply felt no instinctive pull toward it. The rituals of belonging seemed scripted, and they never got their hands on the script. Adulthood doesn't erase the feeling. It just gives it nicer furniture. Now it shows up at dinner tables, office meetings, social events, and friendships. This person participates, laughs at the right moments, speaks when appropriate, but still feels like there's a thin glass wall between them and everyone else. People enjoy their presence, yet rarely understand their interior. And that interior is where the story hides. Most outsiders get misinterpreted. Others assume they are shy, insecure, aloof, anxious, or disinterested. But the truth is almost never that simple. Feeling like the odd one out is not about a lack of social skills. It's about a difference in processing, a difference in rhythm, a difference in what feels real. And when you look closely, you find that most of these people fall into one of three psychological categories. Category 1, the outsider observer. This type doesn't feel excluded as much as they feel separate. Their brain is wired for observation, not immersion. They notice details others miss: tonal shifts, dynamics, hierarchies, micro-expressions, unspoken tensions, hidden hierarchies, and subtle power exchanges. While others jump into the scene, the observer steps back and analyzes it. It's not that they can't join, it's that joining feels like turning off a high-resolution camera. The observer sees the world in layers, and participating in it often forces them to flatten those layers into a single dimension. That distance becomes their default, and distance rarely feels like belonging. Category 2, the misfit soul. The misfit soul doesn't just feel separate from groups. They feel separate from eras, trends, interests, and values. It's the person who never cared about what everyone else cared about. While others bonded over trends, the misfit bonded with ideas. While others sought excitement, the misfit sought meaning. Often this type matures early. They think deeply, feel deeply, interpret deeply, and rarely find peers who operate at the same depth. They are not weird, they are layered. But layered minds struggle in shallow waters, and shallow waters are where most bonding happens. Category 3, the masked chameleon. This is the outsider who learned to imitate. They can socialize, blend, adapt, and integrate smoothly, to the point where nobody suspects they feel different inside. They learn this skill young, sometimes from moving schools, sometimes from unstable family systems, sometimes from environments where authenticity was punished or ignored. They created a version of themselves that society could digest, but behind the mask, they feel rootless. They fit everywhere and nowhere at the same time. They belong socially, but not spiritually. Now here's the twist most people never consider. None of these types are deficient. In fact, they carry advantages that insiders often don't. Observers become analysts, researchers, artists, writers, psychologists, scientists, and strategists. Misfits become creators, innovators, philosophers, explorers, and visionaries. Chameleons become communicators, diplomats, translators, and bridge builders between worlds. Feeling like the odd one out isn't a flaw, it's a vantage point. But then comes the question, if they're not broken, why do they feel so separate? One answer is developmental. Human beings are wired for belonging, but belonging doesn't always happen in childhood. For some, belonging is delayed. They don't find their people until adulthood, or until they move cities, or until they change careers, or until they find a niche online, or until they meet one person who finally reflects them back accurately. Belonging isn't always about matching your surroundings. Sometimes it's about finding the one environment that finally mirrors your interior. Another answer is psychological. Many outsiders carry what psychologists call identity consciousness, the awareness of oneself as an individual unit separate from the group. Most people don't operate this way. Most people merge into social contexts without noticing. Outsiders don't merge, they witness, and witnessing prevents the total absorption that creates the feeling of belonging. And here's the most important part. Outsiders don't lack connection. They just connect differently. They don't thrive in groups of 20. They thrive in groups of 2. They don't want crowds. They want kindred spirits. They don't want to be seen broadly. They want to be seen accurately. They don't want approval. They want resonance. If you resonated with any of this, then here's the golden, honest, non-judgmental question. When you enter a room, do you feel like you're participating or observing? Do you adapt or do you analyze? Do you fit or do you float? If you've spent most of your life feeling like the odd one out, here's the quiet truth. You're not alone. You're not broken. You just haven't found your ecosystem yet. Different frequencies don't sound right on every station. They only sound right on the right one. And if you enjoy psychology, identity, and reflections that help you decode yourself in silence, this is the place. The mind is endless. And the more you understand it, the more you realize that belonging isn't about fitting in. It's about being found. If this spoke to you, subscribe and stay close. We're building a space for the deep thinkers, the quiet observers, the misfits, and the chameleons. Maybe this is the first place where you don't feel like the odd one out.